Hey guys, Chuck's here. I'm just pulling apart a Breville microwave. They're pretty much all the same. You get your control panel here to control the timer. So that's at the front. You gotta take that apart. There was a couple of screws that was locked in. You gotta be careful with that. I've bent that while I've done it, but I can fix that up in a minute. So that's fine. There's a heap of screws underneath and on the sides. Now, if you're a kid, don't play with these. If you're an adult and you've got some sort of electronic background, you can play with it. You will need some sort of resistor, 5-watt resistor, because see this capacitor right here, down the side here, which I'm not going to touch, that has a very large charge, and when the system's off, when you unpowered it, it's actually still got a lot of charge in it. Now, you've got to short these two wires out through a resistor to discharge it. What's useful in this microwave is the microwave transformer, great for spot welders. As you will see if you look back in some of my videos, there's a couple with a spot welder. A Magnetron, it's stuffed. The lady said that it doesn't work anymore. That's fine. You could replace the Magnetron. There's only about 3 screws, and you can order one of these from a company to get it and put it in. As long as you've shorted out that, you're pretty well safe. And there is a turntable over there which can come in handy, and also underneath there'll be a turntable motor which may come in handy. There are micro switches in here which are handy for other projects as well, and there's a spare globe there if you've got a microwave hanging around, and a fan at the back which uses, I think it uses 240, this fan, and it's just hanging around there. I don't know whether I could use that, but I might pull that out to have a look at it. Other than that, there's a heap of wire. It's at the top here. There's a spare fuse up the top if you need it for another job, and there is a toroidal core sitting up here. Magnetron still. I used to be trained in radar once. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook that up to there and short that out. So my first challenge is to get that apart. I need a pair of pliers. Make sure your pliers are insulated. You want a pair of insulated pliers. You want to pull that off. Maybe not touch that, but yeah, take that off there. Another one over here. Get rid of them. And with your resistor, what have I got here? What type of resistor did I use? I think I used a 200 ohm plus or minus 5% at 5 watts. That was good enough to do the job. Rejoin, you can use anything that's got good wattage. 10 watt resistor is really good because that's going to get hot. Once I get that on there, same spot. And there, she's hooked up. Didn't have to manually do it. So that should just short out eventually. And what we're going to try and do now is pull out the transformer, get rid of this Magnetron out. Magnetrons they're dead, but they have lots of good little goodies in them. They have a lot of magnets. They're very handy for other jobs. Getting things apart's cool. Now I just need my drill. Other things you can collect is the screws. You never know when you need a screw. We all need a screw, but good screws are hard to find. Anyway, take that apart. getting pulled apart, that's for certain. So yeah, it's just hooked in there. There's your magnetron. Not much to it. The exciter. There is 2 magnets in there, as per the name Magnetron, and something has died here, I would say. Okay, this is the temperature sensor that holds onto the magnetron, and the 2 leads that go into it are for the exciter and the magnetron itself, and they've probably died. And once I pulled it apart, which I pulled apart later, I don't pull it apart on TV, the problem was that there was a short in it. So I'm going to quickly pull it apart and speed the video up and try and get through some of it. Wish me luck. So just pulling apart the transformer. Remember, the secondary is the part that you want to remove if you want to use it for a spot welder. And there are other videos on my site that show that. It's quite a good spot welder. And if you use 4 of them, you can actually make a good welder out of it as well. So yeah, that's all there. Handy little piece. We'll quickly pull apart this globe and hold on to that for another microwave maybe. Then we're going to pull apart some of the micro switches off to the front and use them in other projects. I've got a CNC machine I'm building, so I might use them in that. I've got a lot of those type of switches. And I'm pulling apart the timing circuit at the front, which is the buttons and the little micro. I don't know what I'll use that for, but it might come in handy for something. And then I've got to take the capacitor out, and I've got to put a resistor across it, short it out so that it stays dead. So I've done that. I soldered a resistor onto it later on, which isn't on the video, but yeah, all good. Yeah, so we'll get that out now. And then after that, I've got to get underneath and take the turntable motor out. Thanks to Rob from one of the other channels, showing me how to use it as a magnetizer. I thought of demagnetizing. I actually got a couple of demagnetizing tools hanging around somewhere, but I've never ever thought about magnetizing, electromagnetizing stuff. Well, I've seen it, but I've never actually thought about doing it myself. So thanks, Rob. I'm not sure if I'll find your channel, hopefully, and I can put it underneath as a link, because Rob's pretty cool. He's got some really interesting ideas about making smaller power supplies or power generators to run your house, or bits and pieces around your house to repurpose a lot of stuff that gets thrown out. Yeah. So I'm repurposing a lot of lithium-ion batteries and that. But probably later in the week I'm going to go detecting, see how I go. Where I am in Victoria, we've now been kind of released, so I'll probably take the caravan out and get a bit of detecting done and see if I can find a little bit of gold. Anyway, if you're not in the channel for that, that's just a bit of useless information. All right, hope you're all having a great day and staying safe. And I was just looking at a stat on EEV blog, and apparently due to all the masks and stuff that we're doing now and social distancing, the flu season, it's a non-event in Australia. And it's pretty handy information. So yeah, pretty good. So our flu season's like nothing. So the flu season lasts couple of years. I think last year took about 1,200 people. And we've only lost 600 to COVID down here in Victoria. So yeah, it's dangerous stuff. COVID is a lot worse than the flu. I'm not putting it down like that. There goes the fan, pulling the fan out. That'll come in handy. You might be able to use it as a generator. But let's go back to talking about it. Yeah, cutting back on the flu is awesome. I used to hate getting the flu. Anyway, this part here used to have a couple of screws put in it. You usually put screws in it, so you have to break off a heap of little bits, and then it'll take that bottom cover off, and you'll be able to get to the turntable motor. Anyway, yeah, and that's another way of you can replace those motors by doing that, but you need a washer and that to lock that bottom bit back up. So yeah, mostly this thing is pretty well, you can repair it. It's quite easy to repair a lot of these. Unless the transformer goes, you pretty well can replace anything in there. And the Magnetron can get replaced, unless the electronics go. That'd be the only reason you get rid of a microwave. And as we now go into a different stage, and like I know everyone says, oh well, we'll just get another one from China, it'll be really cheap and all the rest of it. We don't know what the future's going to hold, but now we know how to fix it. You can fix it if you need to. Now I think you need a little cutting tool there. See if we can get it with this. Might have to cut it with a pair of side cutters or something. That just broke off there. Just watch out that you don't get your hands cut. Very sheet metal. There you go. So that normally is meant to sit in there. It's meant to have something else underneath it to lock that in like that and have a screw in there to put a washer in underneath it, I'd say. You could probably do that if you were really desperate, but I'm not going to do it because I don't need it. And look at this. They've even left one of the screws off. That's how cheap they're getting. Never seen that. Let's get cheap. Let's don't put a screw in. Don't need it anyway. And we've got our motor as shown. Although I think this is seized. Yep, I think, oh, it might not be seized, but it just feels like it's seized. I thought you'd be able to turn that. If anyone knows any different, but I thought, it's been a while, it's been like 10 years since I've done this as a job. Actually 11 years. So yeah, that should spin. So I've got that now. I'll pop this back in there with all that stuff. Don't need that. And that'll be shut like that. Cover that up. I don't know whether I can lock this without the door. Might be able to. Take all these switches off. They're pretty easy to pull apart. I think the plastic's ABS plastic. Not hard to pull apart, but yeah, pain in the ass sometimes. And cut that off. Cut the other one off. And she's out too. And yeah, I could probably pop that back in. Don't know whether it's going to lock the door or not. But try. away. And that's locking that door. Should have something there to hold that, but anyway, we'll cover that up. Nothing really else to want to keep, and yeah, just drop it in very close. Door might be handy for a job, but usually one. They're not very dear, not a very dear item. So now we have to bend that back into place. Stuffed up there. Never seen it done like that, but things change over time. People have new ways of designing stuff. Fix that up and put it back, screw it back together again and take it away to the recycle yard. Hey guys, I pulled this thing apart. Now, you need a pair of very pointy nose pliers to get it apart. I took the gearing out of it, which is over to the left, which might come in handy for something. That is a magnet. That's the coil that you need if you want to magnetize or demagnetize something. And don't know Rob's channel. I'll try and link it in, but Rob's done a video on magnetizing and demagnetizing things. I thought it was a very good show. He never sleeps. He just keeps pumping out bloody YouTube videos, whereas I don't put many up at all lately. I've been too busy doing concreting and other things for my lovely wife, who needs things done around the house. So I've just been doing that. Leave comments if you think that you should do more work for your wife or your girlfriend or your other half around the house. Yeah, so we'll throw that out. We don't need it. We'll keep that magnet. It'll be handy. Not sure what I'll use it for, but it'll come in handy for something else. And we'll throw the rest of that away to the recycle yard where they'll recycle all the metal on it. And that's about it. So make sure that you put a very high maybe 10 watt ohms or 5 watt resistor across the terminals of that capacitor. Solder it on if you have to. I would actually solder it on, and that's handy if you need that capacitor for another job. I'm thinking about doing some different stuff. I haven't gotten out to do a lot of detecting lately. I might go out and do some detecting this week, just for the fun of it. And we're in central Victoria, which is not the epicenter of what we're having at the moment, but we have a couple of cases, so we just have to be a bit careful around here. That's about it. So yeah, catch you on the next one. Have a great day, enjoy yourself, and thank you for watching.